Nice check.
Everybody want the full Saturday party.
Yo, welcome to the AMF Show.
Now everybody want the full Saturday party.
On Bars and Hoops Radio.
Now everybody want the full Saturday party.
Yo, every Thursday night, without a doubt.
Now everybody want the full Saturday party.
With our special guests, so check us out.
Peace, everybody. Welcome to the AMF Show. I'm one of your hosts, Big Ra, one half of the Almighty Force Brothers. I'm here with my man, the street ball legend,
Kev Young.
And tonight, we have a special guest in the building with us from DRTY BSMNT Radio. Introduce yourself, my brother.
Yeah, this is DJ Sincere, DRTY BSMNT Radio. Definitely a pleasure to be in the building with you, brothers. Bars and Hoops Radio, full effect.
Yep. All right. So before we get into your story, right? Before we get into your history and your contributions to the culture, we just want to say, my man DJ Casino, he had a great family day in Ajax Park on Saturday. It was a great event. A lot of people out there. Shout out to my man Pratt, had the little kids out there balling. Shout out to all the people that was out there coaching. Shout out to all the vendors that was out there. Shout out to Infinity Machine. Members of Infinity Machine was in the building. Shout outs to Olivia G. Some of the members of the Freshest FM, they was in the building. It was a great event. We had a lot of fun. Me and my brother Shy, we got on the mic. Shout out to Big Shy. We got on the mic for a little while. Shout out to Gutter Mouth, Southside Kid MC. They rocked the house a little bit as well, right? Also Shy, he finished filming, the Birth of the Almighty video out there on Saturday. So we got a lot of participation in the Birth of the Almighty video. That was like the last day of shooting. We had shot like 3 or 4 other days, so that was like the last day of shooting for that video. Before we get in to my man, I'm Sincere story, I just want to say, all right, there's this dude from that church on Sufton and 110th Avenue, this dude named Jamar Mercado. We found out, recently, right, that he was dealing with a lot of young girls that was like going to the church, messing with a lot of young girls. So, if you know anything about this dude, we got to get this dude off the streets. Anything about this dude, Jamar Mercado, he was working cats at the hospital cats out in Long Island. Heard he suspended from that. He was doing music. He was trying to do podcasts. I heard he got deaded on that. So if you know anything else about this dude, hit up my people at Body by B on Instagram. All right. And that's where you could go to see the story about the bullshit that this dude did. He's a real creep. All right. All right. So I'm gonna get off that. I start getting mad. All right. The shirt I'm rocking, Almighty Force merch. You know what I'm saying? You want a shirt, you can inbox me. You know what I'm saying? Small fee, like 20 cents, So my man,
yes,
DJ
sir.
Sincere.
Yes, sir.
In the building. All right. If you could describe yourself in one word. All right, before we do that, JOJ in the building. JOJ. DJ from what the Oddcast? The Oddcast. The Unprofessionals. The DJ. Shout out to my man Tiny.
In the building with Bars and Hoops right now.
All right. Shout out to my man Tiny. He gonna be out for a little while. Get well soon, brother. All right. So Sincere.
Yes, sir.
All right. If you could describe yourself in one word, what would that one word be and why?
Oh man, I was kind of going back and forth. I don't know if I want to say consistent or persistent, but I guess you could pick either one of those. I guess they both apply. You know what I mean? Because you have to be persistently consistent in order to really get any place, in life. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's your personal life or your business life, whatever it is that you're striving to accomplish, you have to be with it on a regular basis. Because, a lot of times people are not going to, tap into you or get on board with you until they see that you're being consistent.
All right. So where are you from, Sincere?
Born and raised in Queens, Cambria Heights, pick out the Shiesty Heights. Everybody on 225, 226. Yeah.
Okay.
Linden Boulevard.
All right. And on the intro, you said Dirty Basement.
Yes, sir.
So let's go back. Let's talk about what Dirty Basement is.
Oh man. All right. Well, Dirty Basement was originally it started off as a studio. All right. It was a Dirty Basement studio, but it all started off as like a running joke because when we started the studio, because I've been DJing for like a while, then when I was like back in the 90s, I hooked up with these other brothers and we decided to put together a studio. A big shout out to the African Poetry Theater. The brothers I used to do a program with there called Manhood Development. And we was trying to think of a name for the studio, right? And so I came up with another name, but it kind of got shot down. The first name was the Sugar Shack, right? Right, that was the first name, and that one kind of got shot down. Brother said it sounded like a porn house or something.
Yeah, you say Sugar Shack, all kind of stuff went through the head, all kind of stuff.
Right, real talk. So went back to the drawing board, right, and I thought of Dirty Basement because it was in my dirty basement, right? And when I first told cats that name, they busted out laughing, right? They busted out laughing. And that's kind of when I knew I was on to something because it was that reaction. You know what I'm saying? It was that reaction. And then when I told my mother, she busted out laughing.
All right.
So that's how, yep, that's it.
Yeah, because I started seeing Dirty Basement like a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
Because all right, but we're gonna get into that. But I started seeing Dirty Basement, and I was like, all right, so let me check out and see what this brother's about. So I knew it, Dirty Basement, as a radio station. Right. So let's see how that led up to coming from what you said, a studio yeah. to going into being on radio and all of that. So. All
right. Well, because even prior to the studio, you know what I'm saying, I was DJing, we was doing parties. Okay. Me and my man Just True Nelson, we had started doing parties, and we were putting out mixtapes, right? So down the line, like when we decided to put out mixtapes, the market was already crowded. You already had, Ron G, you had, Kid Capri, you had, Doo-Wop and them. You had a lot of people that's putting out mixtapes. So when we sat down and we thought about it, it's like, well, how are we going to approach this? And we decided that we was going to give it a bit more of a mature kind of spin. And since we grew up, with radio, like real radio heads, we decided to give that element to our mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? Also.
Okay.
And then when the opportunity popped up,
you was doing this in the 90s. I didn't mean to cut you off. You was doing this in the 90s?
Well, the mixtapes and stuff like that, yeah, it was all during like the 90s and stuff like that, the parties, and stuff like that. When it got to maybe like the early 2000s, we had the opportunity to start doing radio. The first station was based out of St. Louis. All right, it was called Hard 3014. And we stayed on them for about 6 months, but we didn't get a lot of like support from the program director and stuff like that. They had different kind of issues. They weren't consistent, in a lot of different kind of ways. And, politicked some more, came across this other gentleman. We were on Flavor Mixtape Radio. All right. A gentleman named ORG. All right. And he was really my first radio mentor. He kind of, really encouraged me to get on the microphone, but I was not on the microphone back then. All right, my brother Just True Nelson did all of the mic work. He did all the hosting for the mixtapes, like all of that, in the beginning.
St. Louis?
No, he's actually from here. You know, we came up together from the time we might maybe 15, 16 years old, started doing music together, you know what I'm saying, DJing and stuff like that. And, you know, that's when we first started going into like the radio. We stayed with Flavor Mixtape Radio for about 2 years. They were on, I guess, you know, like defunct now, the Pirate Radio Network. That was like a network of stations like back then. And we did pretty well. They had, you know, their rankings and ratings, and we managed to stay in the top 10 most of the time. We hit number 1 like twice over our 2-year period.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, so we, you know, we did all right. And then from that, this is like, just to give you like a sense of the era, this is like MySpace days. Okay. You know what I'm saying? To give you a sense of what time period that was. And I networked a lot through the MySpace, met a lot of different kind of people. One lady that I met in particular, actually a white lady from Minneapolis, Jackie Scholes. Okay. Heavily connected woman in the industry. And she really put me on to a couple of people that helped my station out, because she introduced me to a gentleman, industry heavyweight, a fella named Angelo Ellaby. And, you know, he's been in the industry for years, fashion, music. He's managed a lot of big names like Mary J and, you know, DMX, and, you know, consulted a lot of people like that. Okay. And she plugged me into him, and that's when things really started to roll, because he got me a lot of my interviews, a lot of my early interviews. And as we went on down the line, a lot of my celebrity interviews, he bought me some of my biggest interviews. Okay. People like Club Nouveau and Matthew Knowles, you know, that's Beyonce's father, if you don't recognize the name. Yeah. Antonio Fargas, some of my biggest names. Yeah, some of my biggest names came.
Huggy Bear.
Yeah, right. You know, came through him. And that's what really got the ball rolling.
Okay. All right. So you was in radio. So you started in radio in the 90s.
Late 90s. Well, like I said, we formulated our mixtapes in that kind of a fashion. So we had that mindset. The actual radio, we didn't really start getting into radio until like 99, 2000, 2001.
Okay. How'd you like radio?
Well, I loved.
Was it all music or just talk?
It was always a combination of both. You know, we always had a, you know, perspective, you know, politically, socially, etc. And you know, we incorporated that. And like I said, we didn't want to just, you know, scream on the microphone and you know, do shout outs and stuff like that. We wanted to give a perspective. You know what I'm saying, at the same time. Yeah.
All right, that's what's up.
I did it in college. You know, we did that college radio thing, and you know, after a while, it got a little boring. I'm not gonna lie, you know, because you play some music. I would come down to New York, get some music off BLS. Hey. Go up there with it, you know, because they ain't had the music yet. It was only Pennsylvania, you know what I'm saying? Right. But after a while, you know, recording and stuff, and then you put it on that reel, and you playing it over and over, you know, and I'm like, okay, I got to move on from this, you know.
All right. Yeah, I just want to give a big shout out to some of the folks that's tapping in right now, some of the independent artists that I've interviewed. Big shout out to J Trax. I see him in the building. My man Switch Ill tapped in from Japan. He was in the building. Big shout out to Bree Biasi. You know, a lot of hot independent artists and whatnot. Yeah, okay. You know what I'm saying? I want to give a big shout out to some of the other Dirty Basement Radio alumni too. All right, my most recent co-host, my dude, Mr. Raw. All right, he was definitely with me for about maybe the past 10 years or so, doing a lot of radio work with me. All right, big shout out to my goodness, big shout out to Dior. You know, she does a show now on Dirty Basement Radio. Big shout out to Remedy. You know, she's co-hosted a lot of episodes. A lot of people. Big shout out to Flawless the Rap Chick, one of my great hosts from, you know, back in the days. We've had a lot of people. Big shout out to I King. All right, yeah, a lot of folks.
All right, okay. So who are some of the people that you work with, like in the industry? You know, like when we was talking initially, you know, you was telling me like that you came up around, you know, brothers like Davey DMX, and you know, so who are some of the people that you work with in the industry? You know, because as a DJ, because we had like our neighborhood was like the Lost Boy and an Onyx. Mm-hmm. You know, those were like shorties to us. Okay. You know, but they was from and then we came up in the time under, you know, the Queens legends like Infinity Machine, right? The brothers like Cypher Sound. You know, these are the brothers who we was around. Like guys who I looked up to was guys like Eddie Chiba. I used to go to the T Connection.
Right.
You know, look at guys like Eddie Chiba. Rest in peace, Eddie Chiba. Rest in peace, Woody Wood. You know, so who were some of the people that you was around like back in the days that some of the people might know about?
All right, well, you know, coming from my part of Queens, you know, Cambria Heights, the Cambria Heights, Lawton area, the biggest dudes around when I was coming up was Johnny Quest and Mikey D. All right, they were the biggest. They were the biggest in the neighborhood. They were basically kind of like the biggest in Queens as far as we was concerned. Everybody wanted to battle them. All right, in particular, and Mikey D. If you could beat them, then you were the man. All right, right. And you know, those are a couple of cats that I definitely grew up looking at. As fate would have it, me and Mike actually came up as we knew each other first as children because we went to day camp. We went to day camp together. Okay. And then years later, we reconnected. Another brother that I used to work with, my man K Dog, he actually introduced me to Johnny Quest. Now I knew about Johnny Quest for years. You know, we used to watch him and whatnot. So yeah, that was a big deal for me when I got to meet Johnny Quest. That was a big deal. Ken Do, Infinity Machine, you mentioned them. I knew Ken Do from back in the days. We used to do a lot of stuff together. We used to, go back and forth to each other's houses, do parties. Because Infinity Machine always had a big sound system. I didn't always have a big sound system. That didn't come until maybe around 98, 99. I got my bass bottoms and scoops and all that kind of stuff. But Ken Do already had, all of that. So I used to actually rent his sound system from him. Okay. And he used to bring it out and, we used to, go back and forth and haggle on the, Ken Do's a funny dude. Big shout out to
shout out to Kid Do.
Yeah, definitely. Then a little bit later on, like I mentioned, people like Angelo Ellaby. I had the opportunity to do a few things with Ralph McDaniels over the years. Okay. I bought PD Crack out for a couple of events over the years. We did a New Year's Eve event with PD Crack in Delaware some years back, and then I did another event with him at the old Pyramid Club for all my independent artists. I know y'all remember Club Pyramid. Used to do a lot of events down there. Who else? I had the pleasure of doing a party, an event at Geraldo Rivera's house. So I had the pleasure of meeting him some years ago.
Okay, the newsman. Shout out to my man Tiny. Shout out to Tiny. Yep. Shout out to Kadea. Papa Don in the building. Mikey D. Right. I always heard of him. Right, I always heard of him. I didn't meet Mikey D probably until about 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, I was just hanging out in Springfield Park when they had one of the events where I saw you at a couple of weeks ago, and that was the first time I saw him like really perform. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? And I said, I said this brother, he like lived up to the name of what I heard, like I heard all the stuff about, that he's supposed to like had schooled out L and all of that. So I heard all those stories. But when I actually saw him perform, I was like, yo, this brother, he really do his thing. Mm-hmm. And truth be told, I just saw Johnny Quest, man, last month. And I say, yo, and then since I saw him last month, I saw him online a few times. And I say, yo, this brother really gets busy. He really, what I'm saying? He really be killing. So I heard his name. Mm-hmm. These brothers, we was on the south side of town. Right. So these brothers that was on your side of town, like the brothers, that we had on the show, the Clientele Brothers. Like one of the Clientele Brothers, he like worked with me for years. Okay. And I ain't even know until the same day that I met Mikey D that he was one of the Clientele Brothers. Okay. And we were like working together for like years. You're right, small world. We didn't even know, we didn't even know, that both of us, he knew the name Almighty Force and I knew the name Clientele Brothers, but we didn't actually know, that they were they both of us was like, in the game like this. Right. So I wanted to ask you, because when we were speaking earlier, you were saying that you used to host some showcases and stuff.
Right. Well, I used to judge a lot of showcases for a lot of the independent promoters at the time, like my man Mike Ice, Slim the Bank used to do a lot of showcases. Who else? Mental Supreme, if y'all remember some of these names. Big shout out to AD the General. All right, she had passed away a number of years ago. I used to do a lot of stuff with her, as far as sponsoring events and also judging a lot of the independent artist showcases. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, the thing about showcases, like when I was interested in trying to get on back in the days, they used to, the label that we was on wanted us to go there like showcases and stuff, right? But I ain't never see where, like I didn't go to a showcase. Like we did like rest in peace, Mr. Magic. We did his stuff back in the days, right? Where if you win, you're supposed to get a record deal,
right?
Which stuff like that never panned out, I'm just keeping a buck, because we won, we won this contest in we was representing Queens, and then everything just fell apart. Like it was called the Battle of the Boroughs, and this is like in the early 80s. Like y'all might be too young, you and J might be too young, but this is like the early 80s, right? And it was called Battle of the Boroughs, and we won. Jay-Z was in it, because we got the money and the plaque and everything, but then they said that Jay-Z tied with us, so then we
politics,
but it wasn't bad. We were doing the stuff for the money, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I wasn't making that much back then, but it was supposed to go on to the Apollo, and then whoever won there was supposed to get a record deal. But like I said, all of that, none of that never panned out. So when y'all was doing the showcases, then like did anybody ever like really like come through there that like really like blew? Like,
Well, it back then a lot of the promoters were, well, first let me give a quick shout out to the Scumbag Lounge podcast. I see them tapping in. Definitely salute to y'all. They do a show on Dirty Basement Radio. You can catch them Monday through Friday, actually, at 6 p.m. on Dirty Basement Radio.
Okay. All
right. But as far as like the showcases go, some of the showcases, they gave cash prizes, they gave plaques. They also used to have, some of them would have like notable people come through, like Amadeus, the producer, he used to come through. AD the General in particular used to have a lot of artists that would headline the shows. And so the independent artists had opportunity to open up for people like Cassidy and Mr. Cheeks, and one of the biggest artists I would say that blew up from the underground showcase scene was Fred the Godson. He used to do a lot of those events. Saw him a lot. May peace be upon his soul.
Rest in peace.
He passed away a couple of years back.
Right.
But
Okay, that's what's up. So you DJ back in the days. So do you still DJ and do parties and stuff like that?
Not as much. I haven't done parties in a while. I still DJ, when the inspiration, strikes me. Sometimes, at this stage of my career, it's really inspirational based. So if I have no, really it is. If I have like a muse, then my mind will just take off, I'm not going to call no names out, but the last muse I had, a young lady, had me putting out a lot of material, a lot of material. I like to, coming from Queens, I guess, Queens is very much known for blends and stuff like that. We can cut and scratch too. Don't get confused, but Queens is, blend heavy. So I kind of take my blends to like another level, so to speak. They're more like remixes than just blends. Even though I don't use any production equipment for it, they're purely, DJ mixes, I'm saying, just the turntables and the mixer. But I take a different mindset with it. A lot of the records that I'll remix are off the beaten path. There'll be stuff that I always wanted to remix, but I couldn't get an acapella back in the days or an instrumental back in the days. But now with AI, you could make anything you want. If I want an acapella, I could just strip it and I could have it, and it won't be like back in the days, you used to get like the bootleg records, you know what I'm saying? You used to get the bootleg presses, but a lot of the sound quality on those was terrible. You know, if it was an acapella, it would have that wonky sound. It would be squelching, what I call a squelch. It would squelch a lot, and you know what I'm saying, when you had a party on you might sound okay in your crib, but when you were on a party on a system, it sounds like crap.
What do you mean by squelch? What kind of sound is that, man?
It's kind of hard to describe. You would have to hear it.
It's not an echo.
No, it's not an echo, but it's almost like a phasing in and out. It's like a phasing. It's like a phasing.
The records are damn near on point with each other, but you hear a little.
Yeah, it'll be like a little. It'll be like a phasing.
Go like this. Here.
Yeah, it's like a wobble. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't sound. You could hear where the sound quality like dips at that point. You know what I'm saying?
It sounds like both records are canceling each other out or something like that, maybe.
Not quite, because when you do that, like when you put a record like right on top of another record, all right, it's right on top, you'll get that effect. You'll get that almost like a slight echo effect where the record's like, it'll give you that kind of effect. That's a good effect. The squelch, you don't want that. That's not something that you want. Yeah, that's not something that you want in your mix. That's just my name for it. That's the only word I can think of to, you know what he's talking about, Jay?
Yeah, I know
you know what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's like the acapella is just not clear. So it's like the acapella is not clear, so it just gives a crazy type of sound. I know what he's talking about though.
Oh, all right. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about what you're doing now.
Okay.
All right. So you had Dirty Basement Radio. All right. And you still got Dirty Basement Radio.
Yes, sir.
You know, but you expanding on that.
Thanks, Lamar.
Right.
I'll sit up.
Huh?
Yeah, well, we definitely, you know, cause like when I was doing Dirty Basement Radio for the years past, I've syndicated it on more than like one occasion. Like I've had, you know, going back to some of the earlier stations that I was on. We also managed to syndicate it to a number of other stations. Like my primary station at one point was the Flavor Mixtape Radio.
Okay. So when you talk about syndication, you know, a lot of people might not know exactly what you're referring to.
Okay.
So if you could break it down.
All right. Well, what I mean by that is that my show would have like an origin point. You know, like it may have been, like I said, Flavor Mixtape Radio. That might have been the origin. All right, point. But then after that, I was fortunate enough to have other stations pick up the show and carry it on their airwaves too. So somebody like I think Pro Flow Radio. All right, they've been around for a long time. Big shout out to my man Max. They were like the first station to pick me up in syndication, and then over the years there's been like and then there's been, you know, 907jams.com at one point. I think they were in Alaska at one point. They carried the show. We had thebestdamnradio.com. We had hookahradio.com.
And this is all like nationwide or
nationwide. We even syndicated my last go round being syndicated was probably like a year or two ago. I had a station in Australia, 2 stations in Africa. We had a station in Jamaica. In addition to stations here in the States, I had Denver, I had Cleveland, a few. Yeah.
All right. So you know, so that's what you're doing now.
Well, now the show before, you know, was limited to 3 hours a day. This new platform that we're on, Dirty Basement Radio, the dirtybasementradio.com. It's a 24/7 platform. You could tune in any time of the day. There's different programs that are scheduled, you know, such as the Talk Chocolate with Dior, the Scumbag Lounge podcast. That's another show that you'll catch there. The Southern Soul Sundays, which has expanded to 6 days a week now. So yeah, you can tune in, you know, anytime of the day. Yeah, and then I also air some of my classic shows, some of my classic interviews and hot topics. You can catch that at midnight and also at 8 a.m. So some of those classic interviews, you know, the Mr. Cheeks and the you know, Jazzo and all of those kind of interviews you can catch. You know, we've had Patra, we've had Beanie Man, you know.
Okay. Patra.
Yeah. Jazzo used to be down with Jay-Z.
Yeah, we had Louis Rankin, rest in peace. A lot of celebrities over the years. My archives are kind of crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, my archives are crazy.
And I'm surprised. I'm like I said, I tapped into you probably maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes, sir.
I tapped into you. I said, all right, these brothers, they got it going on over here. And I followed you.
So this thing took you all over the country then. Sound like, huh?
Yeah, musically, as far as getting like the brand, getting the brand around. When we were doing the mixtapes, we used to ship the mixtapes out also to other countries. I had one fella that one of my brothers had plugged me into, and he was actually a business owner in Australia, but he would come back and forth to the States maybe once or twice a year. So he was in the States at one point, and I connected with him and gave him 200 copies of the mixtape I had out at that time. And he took that back to Australia. We used to ship mixtapes. We had connects in South Africa and different kind of places. So we used to ship them out. London also. Yeah. Okay.
So when y'all was doing your mixtapes, you was doing your mixtapes DJing.
Yes.
You doing mixtapes DJing.
Yes.
It wasn't like. So did you have like artists like featured on your speech on your mixtapes, or it was just strictly your like playing music?
We wouldn't, like, as far as any kind of like hosting wise,
right.
Not really hosting, but I would get drops and different kind of things like that, and we would incorporate the drops into the mixtapes too.
Okay. All right. So for anybody out there, that's watching, right? If you could give words of encouragement to anybody that's out there, like what words of encouragement would you give to people?
Well, I go back to what I started off with. You definitely have to be consistent. You have to be persistent. You got to be willing sometimes just to do it by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to be willing to go alone at a certain point, because people that'll be involved with you, sometimes, there's different levels. Just like they say, there's levels to everything. And there's different levels of involvement too. You could have somebody who they're with you and they down and everything like that, but only up to a point. You know what I'm saying? If it's something that you really want, chances are you're going to be the last man standing, so to speak. It's going to be up to you. If you look at, some of the people that's really going on to big things in different industries, you look at somebody like Bill Gates. Bill Gates didn't start by himself, but he ended up by himself. You know what I'm saying? Mark Zuckerberg didn't start by himself, but he ended up by himself. So a lot of times, the people that you start with aren't necessarily the people that you finish with.
Okay. All right.
And you got to accept that. You know what I'm saying? The people that you come up with might not be the people you blow up with. And that's just a reality.
Okay. All right. So where can people reach you or find your information?
Well, the easiest way, I guess, is social media. I'm having a problem with my Twitter now. It's like Twitter seems like they want to ban me, so I got to see what's going on with that. But you can hit me on my IG. All right, DJ Sincere _ Dirty Basement. That's DJ Sincere _ DRTY BSMNT. You can definitely catch me there. You can go to the website, dirtybasementradio.com, spelled the same way. Dirty Basement spelled the same way with no vowels. And you can definitely tap in there. You can make your requests also on the website. We have a form for requests. So if you want to request a song, all right, if you're an independent artist and you want to get your spins up, then go on and put in some work and get your fan base to make those requests, and we'll definitely, get those spins up for you.
Yeah, K Swiss, she's saying that you always play Sedan's music.
Yeah, played a lot of Sedan. Big shout out to K Swiss. Yeah, definitely a big supporter. Sedan and Lady Miz also. Yeah,
Lady Miz.
Yeah.
Okay, Lady Miz. She came on here.
Yeah. Okay,
she came on. Lady Miz came on. We didn't get Sedan. Like when he was in town, we couldn't get him because we had already booked Eddie O.J.
Okay.
And Will Seville, and they always like Eddie O.J. and Sedan. They was in town like the same week, so we didn't really get Sedan to come on. But that's dope. That's dope. So let's let's just have some fun now. All right. Let's lighten up. So if you so who would you say is your best group ever?
R&B and hip hop.
Best group ever. Wow, that's hard. That's hard. Damn. That's hard. Best group ever, hip hop group.
You want to break it? You want to break it down? You want to decade it? Cause that's what like.
I don't know if that's gonna make it any better. I don't know if it's gonna make it any better.
But you know, I mean, if I say best group ever, you know, I'm old school. You know, I probably say somebody like, you know, the Furious Five or somebody.
Right.
Treacherous 3.
Right. I mean, you really can. I mean, a lot of history.
know.
You know, I was thinking one of the first groups that came to mind was Brand Nubian.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They definitely dropped a classic album. You know, definitely had a
they dropped a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, had a solid career. You know, Pooh Bah was doing his thing even before that with the Masters of Ceremony. If anybody remembers that group,
I remember Masters of Ceremony.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? I didn't even put Pooh Bah with the Masters of Ceremony, right? I didn't even put him like with them, you know. But yeah, Brand Nubian. Okay.
No, I'll definitely put them up there. Yeah.
All right. How about R&B?
R&B group.
Old school and new school.
Well, I always liked it. Loose Ends. I thought they were a great group.
Okay.
Loose Ends?
Yeah, Loose Ends. I always thought they were a great group.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, because I guess what did Loose Ends sing? What would they sing?
Hanging on a String.
Huh?
Hanging on a String.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sing somebody.
No, I ain't singing.
No, you don't want that. You don't want that.
I can't picture.
There we go. We got somebody.
They have some joints, man.
Yeah, they have some joints.
All right. So you caught me with that one. Best solo artist.
Now I tell you another group that doesn't get a lot of love either. That was a great group. If you were up on the Brand New Heavies were a great group.
All right, so what they go ahead, JOJ. What the Brand New Heavies?
They had one song called Stay. Then they what was the other one? They had another one that was really swinging. I can't call it right now, though. But
Stay.
Yeah,
that was fast or slow?
It was like a mid-tempo joint.
Oh, all right. See, you like messing me up. I guess that's the DJ. I guess the DJs know this stuff. I don't know those songs. Mm-hmm. So who would you say your best solo artist? Hip hop.
Solo hip hop. Rakim.
All right. Yeah, a lot of people say Rakim, right?
Yeah. Everybody come up here.
Everybody. Rakim, Rakim is dope. Still dope.
Mm-hmm.
So he was at what's that radio music, right?
Okay.
You saw that? He was at Radio City Music.
That was what
he played with the orchestra.
Okay, yeah, right.
Right.
That
was dope.
Yeah, he has a new single right now. Him and Mariah, they got a joint together.
Oh wow.
And people don't realize he don't be cursing at all in his music, man. He say a whole lot, but no curses.
Yeah.
And very few features. Very few features. We had a discussion one day on, Rakim's features, and he really doesn't have a lot of, people on his songs or him being on a lot of songs with a lot of other people. Really not that many.
Yeah, now that you say that,
you would ruin your career.
You're messing with him, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you gotta be
on point.
You gotta be on point, definitely.
On track with somebody like that, man. You gotta be on point.
And Rakim, he still be doing shows and stuff.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He still be doing shows, still be rocking shit. And I'm saying he be doing like the shows, especially like during the whole all the 50-year hip hop stuff. He was doing shows like in Jersey and all that. But he used to be doing shows like in the Bronx, and like Salsa Fuego and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like local stuff. And I was like, yo, this brother, you know what I'm saying? Like, for a name like that, he still was just doing it.
Yeah, I was at a show with him some years back. I was backstage. I think it was him, Black Moon, KRS-One. And the thing about, people that said about Rakim, and I found it to be true that night, he always comes at the very last minute. He's always always kind of like on a little bit on the late tip, and he come in like that.
Right when it's time to him to perform.
Right when it's time for him to hit the stage.
Right
when it's time.
So he's not mingling around.
Yeah, right when it's time.
Checking him and all that.
Yeah.
I am, though.
Yeah, right when it's time.
To me,
Right when it's time for him to hit the stage. Yeah, but it definitely puts on a good show.
Yeah, he definitely do. So you said you were the show. Shout out to Black Moon. You know, shout out KRS.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, Papa Wu was back there.
Yeah.
May peace be upon his soul.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You know. So you follow. All right, let me ask R&B artists. The best R&B artists.
Oh, the best?
Yeah.
The best is Michael, man. We know that.
Right.
You know the best.
Everybody say Michael, right?
The best.
Yo, what's good? What's good, Juma? All right, peace.
Damn.
Yeah, Michael, Mike. Everybody say Mike. Everybody say Mike. Nobody say James Brown. You know what I'm saying? You know?
Because nobody understands what the hell you're talking about.
Look. All the hip hop artists understood it. All the samples that came out.
It was the music they understood. Ain't nobody repeat
All the
what he
haze.
said. Ain't nobody repeat what James Brown said. Only Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, it's funny.
Excuse us, y'all.
Hey.
You know, well, I'm just saying, you know, it was his beats. James Brown beats was hell.
His band was, yeah.
I got a couple of his songs on my playlist.
Yeah.
But what he was saying,
Yeah, it was
that's
crazy.
a whole different story.
Yeah,
man.
you know, a lot of
You know what he was saying all the time?
like a lot of man.
Fuck out of here, yo.
I mean, they were party records. They weren't, you know, it wasn't 100%. It wasn't 100% social commentary, but
sometimes you want to understand what a motherfucker's saying, man.
But you know,
made some good songs. We understood them.
Yeah.
You know, some slow songs, right?
You know? Most of his records, nobody understood what the fuck he was saying.
Yeah, but Cass is right about one thing.
Right.
But from a producer's point of view, one James Brown record made 5 records.
Yeah. More than 5, right?
You could take
more than 5.
You know,
you count all the people that sampled them throughout the years. And then one of the guys who we used to be doing shows with back in the day, Super Lover C, he made a whole song on Do the James Brown. and people used to like that shit.
Yeah, I interviewed Casanova Rudd over the years.
Casanova Rudd, yeah. It used to be Super Lover C and Casanova Rudd. You know, they used to be. Remember them? Yeah. They used to be in the USA skating rink. You know, that was where like we knew all of them. All of them cats used to come through there. Him, Father MC, Master Ace, all of them cats used to come through there. Kwame,
okay, yeah.
Rozelle,
Polka Dots,
yeah, Rozelle. He used to be with a kid named Romeo. You know, he used to be Rozelle and Romeo. A lot of people used to come through there, man. You know, it was like it was kind of because they used to have like contests there. So like every week was kind of like a battle. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So everybody used to go there, you know, take turns winning, you know, because you never knew who was going to win. Right. You know what I'm saying? Cause we should be going at it. You know, we did shows there. We did shows there like Mo D and Coogee Rap and brothers like that. They came through there, you know, tore shit down. You get what I'm saying? And you know, we used to be on the undercard of them dudes like that.
Okay, that's what's up.
You know, used to be. You know, it was a lot of fun. So you follow basketball?
Back and forth. You know, yeah. I'm not a junkie like I used to be. You know, back in like the 80s and 90s, I was real junkie. College basketball, I was into it real heavy.
Because it was basketball back then. Today, motherfuckers don't even play, yo. I couldn't wait to get that out, yo.
You're like,
so you know that time,
right? You don't know what they're doing on the court nowadays, right? You don't know what are they doing, right?
What?
They're not basketball, it's sissy ball, right? They play sissy ball.
OKC played.
OKC they played like old school. That's why they
Pacers played.
All the teams that play like old school, they get the chip. Denver did it. You know, they played old school basketball, big center and shit. You know, these new jacks, man, 7-footers taking threes, bringing the ball up. I don't understand that game, man. I really don't understand that game. I would hate to be on that team.
Well, I guess a lot of the players now are more athletic, you know what I'm saying?
Don't say that.
Yeah, they are. A lot of them is more athletic as far as being. I mean, you look at some of the depends how far back you want to go, but you look at some of the older players. It was a slower game. It was a lower scoring game. It was a more physical game.
It was slower because it was more physical.
Right, but you want to
touch these motherfuckers.
Right, but you want to have a certain excitement factor, and
there was excitement in the 90s.
Yeah, it was.
The 80s.
But you wanna
Showtime with the Lakers in Boston. The motherfuckers was clothes hanging each other and shit.
right, but it was more of a domination. You had the Lakers, you had Boston, maybe Philadelphia, Detroit, and that was really about it.
To me, the NBA
And that was really about it.
Listen to me, man. The NBA was the most democratic system in America. You know why?
Why?
Because the least of them got the best player out of school.
Well, yeah, you lottery picking. I mean, if you were, if you were,
If you got the best player from college and you don't build, that's not his fault.
if you were,
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but if you were, 12-70 for the season, then of course you're going to get the number one pick.
Right.
But that don't mean that you're going to go anywhere
Right,
with
that's
it.
what I'm saying. The organization has to build
you have
on
to
that.
build.
If they don't build on it,
Mhm.
that's not basketball's
Right,
fault.
but then sometimes that number one pick ends up being a bust too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, who you was thinking about when you said that, yo?
Yeah, somebody in mind.
Yeah, I did. You know what I'm saying?
I saw some shit, huh?
But we'll leave that one. But sometimes they end up being a bust, and it be somebody else that ends up being that guy that you should have went with. So sometimes
I remember number 2 the bus, and even nice in college, the one picked before Jordan, right?
Sam Bowie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Portland picked him over Jordan.
Yeah. So I remember him being a bust. I'm trying to sit here and think of number ones that really didn't do nothing.
That young kid that played in Washington with Jordan was coach. Playing too. The young kid, long, tall dude. What's his name? He got a podcast. He be breaking on people and shit.
Oh, you talking about
Venus?
Nah.
Oh, I know who he's talking
A
about.
tall country dude and shit. What's his name?
Yeah, he was hot a couple of years ago for his podcast.
Jordan actually drafted him out of college, right? Jordan actually.
Oh, you mean because he be doing the commentating.
Yeah. He got a podcast.
Oh yeah. He like 6'10", 7 feet.
Yeah, he's 7 feet.
Yeah.
Total
Can't think of his name even. Yeah, Shy, if you on, man, it's like say because Shy used to always say that must have been Jordan's son because he drafted him number 1.
I mean, he was 7 feet tall. He showed promise in high school. I can see why he could want him on the team, but damn, man, when he got there, it was like, what the hell you doing out there, yo?
Yeah.
That was a bust. Yeah. Sam Bowie was a bust too.
Yeah, Sam Bowie was a bust. Like I said, I couldn't think of I can't think of number ones though. The most of the number ones are like Kyrie, LeBron.
Yeah. Why'd you say LeBron?
Yo, man. Yo, I was watching that.
You know how much I hate LeBron, man?
I was watching the basketball tournament where they be playing for the $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch that?
No.
Did you watch it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, when I was watching it, I said, damn, I wonder if Kev watching this, right? Because Jim Boeheim team had 2 of his sons on it. Two of the Syracuse teams in the basketball tournament had Jim Boeheim's sons on it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, I wonder if Cat watching.
No, so you were saying
because that was Jim Boeheim's son. But they lost. They lost to all these Division III kids, man.
Okay.
They come on Sunday on Fox.
All right.
Come on Sunday.
So you proved my point though.
Yeah, they in the final, the final 8 teams.
You tried to show me something, but they lost.
Yeah. Yeah, they lost. Yeah. But let me ask you this. Because you said you followed it in the 80s and the 90s. So who would you say, from when you follow basketball? Because you ain't following it now, it's cool.
I mean, I got back into it last season. I started getting back into it last season because I wanted to see what the Knicks was up to. So I started getting back into it last season.
Getting back into it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you 2 things. Who would you put as the top 5 all time top 5 team?
Let's see. All time, I guess from the era that I'm thinking about, I would probably put Olajuwon.
Okay.
Agree.
What's my man's name? Isaiah Thomas.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. J.
Dr. J. Okay.
It's a lot of players, man. I know. It's a lot of players.
And I'm trying to just do one from a position too.
Yeah, it don't have to be. Because if you pick a position, you already picked Isaiah. I'm like, damn, you know. I'm like,
y'all down on Isaiah?
Isaiah was nice.
Isaiah was a nice ball player.
He was nice, but I'm like, but if you pick a position and you say point guard Isaiah, I'm just,
Isaiah, Elijah Wan, Dr. J, I guess Magic, and I need one more. I don't know who else would be that one more. Larry Bird.
Okay,
my man, my man.
All right. Who you say the GOAT?
Gotta have a white boy on the team, right? Gotta have a white boy on the team.
Who you say the GOAT? Who you say the GOAT? Who you say the GOAT?
The GOAT from that era?
Nah, the GOAT period.
The GOAT period?
Yeah.
Well, I'm inclined to say Jordan. That's like the common, because he ended his career like a GOAT. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You can't go out on a better note than he went out on. I mean, you take the winning shot of the game to win the championship.
The world is watching.
You know what I'm saying? And then just retire. And then just retire. All right, I done took the winning shot at the last second of the game. I won my 6th ring.
I think it was 2 years in a row he did the same shit.
You can't write a better ending to a career than that. You know what I'm saying?
What round?
He went to the Wizards, man. It wasn't shit. You know what I mean? But I still think Jordan.
He went to the Wizards when he was 40, man.
Yeah, but they wasn't shit. So he go out like on time. You know what I'm saying? But Michael did Jordan. Michael Jordan. Yeah.
That's him missing the game, man. That's him just missing the game. Let me go have some fun.
Huh?
He said, let me go have some fun with these motherfuckers.
Yeah, but all right. I would say.
I don't think he was looking for no championship. Didn't they make the playoffs one year, though?
The Bullet? I mean, the Wizards?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they barely got there or something like that.
Yeah. So did you ever do, like, going back to music, did you ever do like music producing, or did you ever get into that?
Oh yeah, like I said, we ran a studio. Me and Johnny Quest ran a studio. We did the production, used to produce the whole hood. Everybody used to be in my house every day. Some of the cats that you mentioned, you know what I'm saying, would come through, you know what I'm saying. Some of them might not remember, but Will Seville and Eddie OJ, had been through my house at different times, in that era.
Shout out to the clientele, brothers.
A lot of cats used to come through there. So yeah, I did production. We had this is pre-computer days, this is pre-Pro Tools, pre-Cubase and all of that. So I used to have
the real.
Well, actually we had one for a while, but I used we had a 950, a Kai 950. I had a Mackie board, a 16 input Mackie back then. I had an Alessis drum machine, the SR16 drum machine, and about 50 crates of records in my turntables, and a lot of them
50 crates of records
and a lot of imagination.
Do you know about the?
I ain't got 50 though. Damn, I probably got like
50.
You got 30? Damn.
Like Dr. Drake, eh?
Damn,
that's a hell of a library, man.
Yeah, we had a lot.
That's a lot.
How you know where everything at?
Well, I used to have a system. I really did. I used to have I did it by the color of the covers, and then I would break it up. These crates would be R&B, these crates would be hip hop, like that. Okay. But I broke them up by the color of the covers. It was, from black to white. From black to white.
You covered the record label too.
Sometimes, what I'm saying, sometimes if there was something like, one of them secret records you don't want nobody to know. Yeah, we used to do that.
You kill me with that. Don't want nobody to know what you playing.
Mark on the name.
That was him.
Yeah, definitely.
Nobody know what you playing. Yeah, so
especially if it was like a break beat or something like that that nobody really had. Then
you old record.
Yeah, you ain't want nobody to know what that was. Yeah.
So when you funny, yo.
When you doing the production stuff, like anybody that came through with your, like really kind of blow? Anybody other than Mikey D?
No, not really. And I tell you one of the reasons I think why nobody really wanted it as much as I did. So, like I said, I didn't have, the top level equipment. We was able to do good productions, but in order to finish, we were going to have to go someplace else. We were going to have to go someplace else. And, a lot of the cast that I was working with, to be honest, they didn't want to spend the money to go to the next studio. They used to be like, well, we can't do it here. No, we can't do it here. We can take it this far, but to get to master it and make it radio ready. And they didn't believe in it that much. You know what I'm saying? I guess they didn't believe in themselves that much if you really get down to it. I was shopping the records at the time. I was, sending pictures out to labels and different things like that, and getting some responses, some good, some bad. You know what I'm saying?
It sounds like I saw this movie, man. What was the name of that damn movie? You sound just like him, man. What's the name? Well, that light skin dude, he was rapping down south, some shit. What's the name of that movie? Nah. Oh, the kid. Nah, he played in Iron Man, the first movie. The light skinned dude. What's his name?
Oh, you talking about Hustle and Flow?
Hustle and Flow. That's what.
Nah, hey.
I mean, that's what you're doing. You're doing your shit.
Listen.
Because they had to go around. They put aluminum around the room and shit to get the right acoustics. And went out and stole the most expensive mic they can find.
Well, I tell you, to take it all the way back, and this is even actually before I even got my DJ equipment. One of the first things my father had got me when I started begging for equipment, he had bought me this all-in-one. I wish I still had this because this is a collector's item now. It was all-in-one. It had the radio in it. It had a record player on it, and it also had a cassette that you could record. It was called Dorchester. That was the name of the company. And I used to make the crazy pause tapes.
Okay.
I remember the pause tapes.
Remember the pause tapes.
Because of me.
That's how you did your radio show, right?
Yeah. I'm telling you,
that's how it was.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
The radio you could blend.
Yeah,
the radio show, you got equipment. You can blend that shit in.
All right.
And I remember like when nobody was home, I would take the whole thing into the bathroom and record in the bathroom so I can get that echo from the bathroom.
Right, the acoustics.
I get the echo, right? And then, later on when I moved everything, downstairs, at one point, because you gotta isolate sound. You gotta separate.
You gotta seal everything.
Yeah, you gotta, try as best you can. So we used to run the microphone into the other room and across the hall before I actually made a booth. It was the bathroom. So I used to put cats in the bathroom, or if I didn't do that, then everybody just had to sit in the studio and we turned the music down, so it only came through the headphones for the artist, and everybody else had to sit there and be quiet.
Yo. That's grinding.
Yeah.
You in the bathroom shit.
Yeah, all of that. So
do what you do, boy.
So yeah, we did a lot of production for cats back in the days. Now, I tell some of the artists this now. My biggest regret. And I don't mean this to, disparage the person I'm getting ready to say, because I definitely studied him too. Definitely a legendary DJ and producer. But I should have did it the way Marley Marl did it. Mm-hmm. All right. Because at the time I was shopping, I had 4 songs in particular that I was shopping. Right. From 4 different artists that I had, me and Johnny Quest had produced and whatnot. And I should have just took them songs and put them out my damn self,
right.
And said, y'all just gonna have to be mad at me now. But you fast forward 20 or 30 years later, y'all have been legendary. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have been legendary.
And that's what everybody doing now.
Y'all have been legendary. I should have just, just bootlegged it. Put it out myself and did it like like Marley did with Shantae and like Cool G rap, it's a demo. Yeah. That was really a Marley Marl demo, and he said, you know what, I'm putting this out. And the rest is history. Now these cats is legendary artists, right? They might have not have got no publishing or nothing.
They might not have,
You know what I'm saying?
But everybody know who they are.
Everybody know who they are. They've been around the world 3 times. They sold a lot of records. They made their money at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
So, man, but thank you, man. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on, man. It was fun. You know, it went, you know, all the time when you're having fun, you know, it's it go too fast. You get what I'm saying? But thank you for coming. And for we're gonna be doing some work together.
Yeah, definitely.
Doing some work together. Appreciate you. Thank you for everybody that tuned in, to the AMF show. Any last shout outs you want to give before we go off?
Yeah, one more thing. Yeah, one last thing I want to say. Once again, I want to give a big shout out to all the Dirty Basement alumni. Just because I didn't say your name doesn't mean that you're not in my heart. And last but not least, I want to give a big rest in peace shout out. All right, a cat that I went to school with, my best MC from back in the days, my man William Dixon. We also known as Irv. We used to call him MCI. All right, he passed away a couple of months ago. May peace be upon his soul.
Get it.
Wanna thank y'all for tuning in. Love y'all, tune in again. Like Steels be saying, tell a friend to tell a friend to tune in to the Legend Edition.
I'm singing for playing most supreme right here. 6 feet still can beat the whole damn dream team. With power, I devour any man in my way.